For example, Taiwan.
Not a real country. Not a real country.
You think what? Uncle Roger, find the clip.
慧心，give us clip. Hi guys.
Namaste.
Hi guys, it's the debaters. Welcome to our very first episode.
Yay!
No matter if you have seen the Batman movie before or Batman series before, I'm pretty sure that everyone knows Batman. So, superhero, the good guy that always saves his city, which is the Gotham City, from the bad guy, the Joker itself.
Why so serious?
Well, Batman has his own rule, which is not to kill. And that's the reason why Joker gets to run out of Arkham Asylum and always troubletize the whole Gotham City itself. Whereas Joker, on the other hand, Joker thinks that there's no fixed set of rules in this world at all. Given enough darkness, aka despair or disappointment or sadness, any negative emotions, people will fall to the dark side. And rules can after all be bent. So, and this brings us to the topic of today, which is how does law works? So the philosophy of law can be separated into two main categories, which is first of all, the analytical jurisprudence, and second of all, the normative jurisprudence. So analytical jurisprudence is a philosophical approach of law, which actually based on the resources of modern philosophies, aka modern moral values.
The moral values of the society are changing all the time. Let me use a very easy example, as in same-sex marriage. And in the past, marriage can only be entered between a man and a woman. Man cannot. Woman cannot. But currently, up to 2023, there are 34 countries in the world that actually recognize same-sex marriage, which includes Argentina, Germany, United Kingdom, and United States. Well, even though we acknowledge the fact that most of these countries are based in Western countries, but we can actually see things are changing in Asia. For example, Taiwan.
Not a real country. Not a real country.
You think what? Uncle Roger, find the clip.
Anyone, any niece and nephew from Taiwan? Not a real country. Not a real country.
Anyways, the moral value changed so much that the same-sex marriage can only recognize today. For example, changing social attitudes, where in the modern society, same-sex marriage is more commonly acceptable compared to the past. And right now, we care more about the basic human rights, we care more about individual autonomy, that humans, they should be able to choose who to marry, be it a man or woman. And all these are the factors why same-sex marriage is a lot more and commonly acceptable today in the modern society compared to the past.
So, normative jurisprudence involves the examination of normative, evaluation, and otherwise prescriptive of issues of law, such as restrictions of freedom, obligations to obey law, and wrong punishments. Then we'll have to discuss about the two main philosophy of law. Punitivism is strictly sticking to a set of moral rules where there's no exceptions, no excuse at all to violate the set of rules itself. It is rigid and it is not changeable. An example to it is again the Batman. He is obviously a conscience because even if he knows that once he kills Joker, everything will be settled, but he chose not to because he thinks that as long as he kills, it means they've done something wrong. People has been criticizing it actually, saying that he is being very hard-headed. He could have just, killed, and that's all. The whole Batman series will end. But then this thing didn't happen. So this brings us to the second part, which is
utilitarianism.
Okay, so
utilitarianism,
on the other hand, focuses on the consequences instead of the actions itself, which means intentions are irrelevant. The consequences and outcome, or we call it as results, are the sole purpose of the whole thing. It means that they cares about pleasure, happiness, happy ending, and the benefits of the majority. That's more important than anything else. So
Utilitarianism.
Means good consequences equals to good action. And this leads to justice because one of the main focus of justice is to bring benefits to the majority. No matter if it is the society, country, or even the court itself.
So right now, let me very briefly, okay, when I say very briefly, it means very, very briefly, explain the concept of fairness by reference to a pizza party. So imagine in a pizza party, there will be different pizzas for you to choose, be it pepperoni or cheesy pizza. That's my personal favorite anyways. Or whatever pizza you can think of. And there will be always one pizza that everyone would love to eat. For me, that obviously has to be cheesy pizza. Don't tell me you like to eat Hawaiian pizza. Italians will come and beat you and tell you, hey, no pineapple on the pizza.
I like Hawaiian pizza. What is wrong with you?
You can't have pineapple on the pizza, that's a crime.
I like cheesy pizza. They are very.
That's your problem. I'm explaining right now. I am explaining right now. So let me use cheesy pizza as an example. So imagine the cheesy pizza, and you are the host of the pizza party,
boring.
and you want to make sure everyone gets a fair and equal slice of the most delicious cheesy pizza. First, there's unbiased fairness. Under unbiased fairness, everyone has to be fair, no matter how you looks, your race, how much can you eat, and how much do you think pineapple should be on the pizza. Well, you can love that. I won't judge you. Don't worry.
You just judged me just now.
That's you. I'm not judging the others.
You're just being biased.
I'm biased, anyways. But unbiased fairness just want to make sure that everyone has an equal chance to enjoy the most delicious cheesy pizza. I almost wanted to say pasta.
No matter if the person likes the pizza or not.
Well, however, we need to understand that the meaning of fairness is different for all of us, and that's the second type of fairness, and we call subjective fairness. And imagine in a pizza party again. Well, sorry for mentioning pizza so many times, especially if you're watching late in the night and making you hungry. Hey, what are you doing? We are shooting the video.
Pizza?
That's obviously not pizza, that's chips, or in the UK, crisps.
Crisps.
And alright, and some people, imagine in a pizza party, some people call it fair when everyone gets a fair and equal slice of the most delicious pizza. Or some people think it's only fair when the people who eats a lot gets a bigger portion of pizza. Or the other hand, a person that eats very little should get a smaller portion of pizza. That's what we call subjective fairness. Because different people have different needs and circumstances, and they understand what is fairness for one person might not be fair for another. And that's the reason why fairness can lead to voluntary interaction. And imagine you being the host of the pizza party, what will you do with the most delicious cheesy pizza? And obviously, you want to be fair. And what we'll do is you will distribute the pizza to everyone in the room rather than letting the fattiest guy in the room grab the whole pizza and eat it on his own.
Or you can just give me the whole Hawaiian pizza.
Hawaiian pizza is fine, that's an exception to the general rule. Anyways, as a host of the party, you want to make sure that everyone enjoys the party, where everyone feels respected, valued, and included, apart from you with the Hawaiian pizza.
So in other words, fairness is subjective and absolute. Fairness equals to Kantianism, whereas justice is more closely related to utilitarianism. Because justice cares for benefits of the majority more than anything else. They do not focus on finding fault of people, but focusing on the outcomes and the benefits that will be brought to the majority itself or to the society itself. Besides, justice is impartial. They always look at things in third party's view, aka not voluntary interactions. Most importantly, fairness has no restriction at all. Doesn't matter if it is in actions or anything else, as its goal is to be unbiased. Whereas justice, on the other hand, they have a lot of restriction and they have to consider public interest, national security, interests of justice, and of course, most importantly, human rights, which is freedoms of rights of humans itself. Okay guys, thank you for making all the way here. We were very bored as well trying to explain to you guys, about all these stuffs. But right now, we are on our fun part already.
Yeah, finally we are here. Wow, thank you for watching until this point of the video. If I were you, I'll just shut down at the very first second of the video. But really, thank you, friends, family. Namaste, namaste, arigato gozaimasu. Alright?
Okay, so our debate of the day is that I cite justice, he cite fairness. He's biased anyway. I don't know why he wants to cite fairness. Anyways, in my opinion itself, I feel like, and plus the general rule is that law is always more closely related to justice itself, because law do not encourage people to do any voluntary interaction with a case or anything at all. What they encouraged, on the other hand, was to be impartial, passive, and look at things at the third party's view. And this is why Lady Justice make judgments with her eyes closed, because she's not supposed to actively look for evidence on her own. What does this mean? As a judge or a jury on duty for a case, no matter how popular the case is, no matter how social media is reporting the case all around the internet, the television, whatever, you as a jury or a judge itself, you're not supposed to go out there and do any research on the case itself, or listen to people's suggestion out there, or to actively look for any evidence. All you can do is to go to court, be passive. You can actively ask for the evidence from the parties, that's no problem. But you can't actively reach your hands to the evidence until the parties give you the evidence. This is a very clear evidence to show that you're not supposed to have voluntary actions.
Well, I'll agree with you whatever you just said, but I can't fight you on that point. But there's something that only does with fairness, but not justice, which is equality. Well, fairness means treating everyone equally and respecting their rights, the basic human rights. And fairness ensures that everyone is equal before the law. If you commit a crime, you must be punished. It doesn't really matter your skin color, your gender, your social status, or how rich you are. So let me use a very good example here as a Robin Hood. Well, we all know that Robin Hood is very well known for...
So our video just went from law and fairness and justice to what DC universe and all kinds of supervillains, superheroes.
We all love superheroes. Anyways, so back to my point. Let's use Robin Hood. Robin Hood is very well known from stealing from the rich and distributing the wealth to the very poor. Well, that seems a very right thing to do, because we should have the equal amount of money. The super rich, they shouldn't have too much money. The poor one, they should have something in their pocket, or they should have at least some food on the table to survive. That seems a very right thing to do. But after all, Robin Hood, in legal sense, they still commit a crime. And if you commit a crime, you must be punished. As simple as that. You must be punished regardless of your intention, be it good or bad. And that is how fairness is more closely related to law.
I feel like it's unfair.
What way?
Whatever Robin Hood is doing is what Republic is trying to do. He's just being a communist. He's just trying to treat everyone equally, trying to feed everyone the same equal amount of pizza.
That's fairness. That's what I was
that
saying
is fairness.
in the very first
Yeah,
place.
that is fairness.
Yeah, that's fairness.
And that's the reason why he has been proved wrong by law, but not by moral values.
That's why I say, no matter how good the intention is to make everyone equal by looking at money.
He's wrong by law, not wrong morally. Which means by fairness, he's fine.
No, by fairness, no, he's not fine. He still committed a crime, and if he committed a crime, he must be punished. As simple as.
But we'll leave it for the viewers. I feel like some of the viewers will cite me.
And I believe some of the viewers have cited me as well. So we will leave it to you to decide which party is correct.
We'll leave it to the viewers. Since we can't agree with that, let's move on to our next point. My next point, I mean. Where law is supposed to be more closely related to justice because they take care of the majority, because law strives to take care of the benefits of the majority. Besides that, law don't normally look at who's at fault only, but they would rather compensate the victim or solve the problem because the problem has been out already. For example, in most cases, in most areas of law, actually I should say, such as family law, commercial law, most of those things when they go to court, the court wouldn't say, let's see who's at fault. No. Most of the time, they'll aim to compensate the victim or to solve the problem. Second, you go to court, you want to divorce with your husband, and then, let's see who's at fault. It's your fault. His fault. No. Most of the time, they will look at what? They'll look at who's the victim. In most cases, it's the children. when 2% divorce, the children is the biggest victim. That's true, isn't it? Agree with me? And in most cases, they'll try their best, as in the court will try their best to compensate the children, try their best to solve the problems that will arise to the children when the couples divorce, isn't it?
Well, I get your point. It's true that law always protects the benefits of the majority, and that's what every country does. They want to protect the rights of the majority of the society. That's just common sense. That's just very normal. But that's not the only aim of the legal system.
That's true.
The law will need to be fair to all individuals, irrespective of them being the majority, them being the minority. And at here, I'm gonna bring out a very good example again of the minority community. Ta-da! Here we come, the LGBT community again. Oh, I'm
He
sorry
just wants to win the battle so much, so he's trying to get everyone to side him, including the LGBT.
Well, I'm not part of them. I'm not an LGBT community, but I am with them. My heart is with them. All right, okay.
I mean, we are both in the UK lah, so we see all this like we are both not against it. But you can't do that. You can't just ask for people to side you.
I'm not asking people to cite me just because I use that example, but I'm using that as an example so that you can understand better. Right? That's the purpose of me using that as an example. So let's see. LGBT community, we all know that's a minority group, okay? But we know the fact that LGBT community might not be very much acceptable today, well, especially in the Asian community. But that doesn't mean that their basic human rights should be neglected by the law. They should all be protected like all of us do. They should not be discriminated against by being the minority of the whole society despite their sexual orientation and all those stuff like that. And this is very true in the Western countries, that the law actually clearly states that the rights of the minority LGBT groups must be protected. They must not be discriminated against. It is unlawful to discriminate the LGBT group because of their sexual orientation. That's just a very wrong thing to do. And I really hope that the same can be done in the Asian countries very, very soon. I really hope.
Well, I have to rebate that. I'm so sorry about that. But literally, I feel like
Spreading love.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I have to rebate you, Jason. I'm so sorry about that. But then you have to know that I feel like this is also the reason why justice is more related to law, because like each and every country have their own culture. That's true. Yes, each country has their own legislation as well. It is true that more and more countries are accepting LGBT, and more people do agree with or not going against with same-sex marriage. But then again, especially conservative countries, no offense, but conservative countries like the Muslim countries, Islamic law or Sharia law is the highest law. And with countries like that, in their interest of justice, it is very hard for them. I mean, socially, maybe they will be able to not go against LGBT, which I believe so. A lot of our friends in Malaysia can accept it. We are Malaysians. Malaysia is an Islamic country. But then, for an Islamic government to accept same-sex marriage is almost impossible for the next decade. That's why law is more related to justice, because it's in the interest of justice to support the majority's thinking.
Well, I agree with everything you just said just now. Sadly, that's the reality that we're facing right now, especially in most of the Muslim countries. In the next 10 years, maybe the next 20 years, 30 years, we won't see same-sex marriage or LGBT community being recognized in any way. I do reckon that, but in fairness, they are the minority and their rights must be recognized. And that's why I'm saying that not only the LGBT community, but any other minority groups. For example, in Malaysia, the Bumi Putra group, they should be protected as well. As like any others, as the biggest race in Malaysia, Malay, Chinese, Indian, we should all be protected in the same way, regardless of our race, regardless of being the minority group. We should all be equal. We should all be the same before the law. And that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been preaching all the time.
Fairness.
That's it. All right. Anyways, we will not stop here. So let the viewer decide on this point, and we will move on to the next point.
That's true. Well, my next point I would like to raise is about the restrictions of law. Fairness has no restrictions at all. We both agree on that. As long as it is fair, there's no restriction on what kind of actions or what kind of things you want to do for fairness to be there, unbiasedness to be there. But then the thing is that we do have to recognize that law must have restrictions, must have exceptions, such as like what you see, human rights, public interest. They are very important, where fairness cannot give it to you, because fairness has to be rigid. Fairness means you have to follow the set of moral value or follow the set of law, where tempered justice cannot give mercies. But then you have to know that the law for now, in most of the country, tempered justice is with mercy no matter what. Because law has to be humane, no matter how inhumane it looks like. We can't do a hand for a hand, an eye for an eye.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, like a hand for the hand, an eye for an eye, the Hammurabi Code, it might not be applicable in our society anymore, especially in the modern society, no matter what country it is. But
Question? Google Hammurabi, put it there, show him how to pronounce Hammurabi.
whatever.
Hoshin, don't cut this off, just Google that and post it there.
Hammurabi.
I do know that Hammurabi Code is not applicable in our society anymore, but if you think about it another way, why is there a Hammurabi Code? Because you have to pay for what you did. And that's the essence of the legal system. If you commit a crime, you must be punished. As simple as that. You have to pay for what you did, especially if you do something wrong, you have to be punished. If you do something good, you should be rewarded. As simple as that. And it is true that the law operates within the restrictions, but I think, personally, that it's incorrect to say that the principle of fairness cannot be fully used in all the restrictions you have mentioned just now. Fairness is still a very important principle, in fact, a fundamental principle in the legal system. For example, you talk about public interest and human rights, and fairness is still very important as the basic human rights that everyone must be treated fairly, equally, and without any discrimination. And on top of that, the judge also has to consider impact of decision on all the parties to make sure that it is fair to them. And let's consider a real life example. If you're in the court and you are poor, how are you going to afford a lawyer to speak for you in the court?
個個都話法律面前人人平等嘅，今時今日人人都改口啦，話法律面前窮人含銀啊！
And this is where fairness is important, that everyone should have access to legal representation. It could be by any means, for example, legal aid. Legal aid is that if you are poor and you don't have money to pay for a lawyer in the court, then the government usually subsidize money from the government money and pay for you so that you get a free lawyer to speak for you in the court. And that's legal aid. And you should not be put in a worse position than the others just because you are poor and you have no money, because everyone should be equal before the law.
That's true. But then again, I agree with the fundamental principle you have said, but I do not agree when you say that it is a total fairness when it comes to fines and legal aids and stuff like that. We do know that, of course, if you're good, you don't want to do it for free. That's true, isn't it? So with legal aids, there's no doubt that if you have money, if you hire a private lawyer, it will be better than legal aids. It doesn't mean that legal aids lawyer cannot do shit. They can still do a decent job. It's just that if you're rich enough, you'll get a better lawyer. Second thing is that when it comes to fine, when you say that it's fair for everyone to be punished, regardless the person is a guy, a girl, a poor person, a rich person, the thing is that we do know that the degree of punishment is different. They do not measure by fairness. They measure by categories. They measure by mercies. Like what? They measure by why do you do this? Is there any reasons behind it that the court can give mercy? They measure by, do you agree that, have you confessed that you have done this wrong? If you have confessed, they'll give you discount on your fines or like your penalty and stuff like that. Why? Because of justice. Because you know that you have done wrong, isn't it? It's not about fairness, it's about justice, isn't it?
Well, for me, it's not about justice at all. It's about fairness. And at the very start of my explanation of what fairness is, that is subjective fairness. And of course, the judge has to, especially when a person done something wrong, and the judge has to fine him just because he did something wrong, obviously has to consider how much money the person has. If he's very poor, obviously the fine shouldn't be too...
Therefore, that's not fairness.
That's fairness. If a person is poor, he should get a smaller fine. If a person is rich, he should get a bigger fine. That is fairness by reflecting the situation they are in.
I still think that is not fairness.
For me, that's...
If you are rich and you go into a LV store and steal an LV bag, and if you're poor and you go into an LV store to steal an LV bag, the punishment should be the same. That's called fairness.
No, definitely not. That's fairness. Anyways, let's not continue because we're not gonna stop and we're gonna continue until tomorrow. So let the viewers
decide.
Let the viewers decide. All right.
But I still feel like one last point I really want to talk about is that fairness does not have mercy because there's no restriction. Its goal is to be unbiased. Yes, we agree with that.
That's right.
Justice has mercy.
Well, after a long argument, well, I call it an argument, not a debate anymore, but that's fine. Well, it was a great argument, wasn't it? So we are not saying that the principle of justice or fairness is not... It's not that I couldn't win you. I'll let the girls win. Gentlemen. Alright, we are not saying that the principle of justice or fairness is not important in the legal system. In fact, they are both very important. let's not say that it is not important. They are both very, very important in the legal system, and they serve different purposes. And the principle of justice makes sure that all people in the society get protection from the bad guys, and the principle of fairness makes sure that no one in society will be discriminated against for their culture, for their skin color, or their different background. So the most important thing is to have a good balance between both, and which is the most difficult task for any lawmakers in the countries. But it's necessary to build a legal system that upholds both justice and fairness.
Yes, it is true. But however, we have to bear in mind that in most situations, finding fault in law will create more problems only. That's the reason why people tend to feel that this case has been judged unfairly, that case has been judged unfairly. But then honestly, most of the time, I'm not trying to say all of the time, because there are cases which has been judged like pretty wrongly, which we all agree with that. But then there are cases where you got no choice, you have to use justice to judge it. You can't use fairness to judge it. If you judge it with fairness, it causes a lot more problems instead of solving the problems. Although it sounds unfair, I do know that. But life is unfair.
But it's true that life is unfair. Fairness, it's just in ideal world, it's just a perfection that can never be achieved. Let's be realistic here, alright? Even your boyfriend or girlfriend is unfair. Like for example, your boyfriend can never be fair when it comes to spending time with you or playing video games. For me, I'll definitely choose playing video games. Girlfriend is not fun. Anyways, or your girlfriend can never be fair when it comes to choosing you or choosing shopping. So you play a video game, your girlfriend go to shopping and all. That's very fair for me.
Your Wangja's rank is lower than me, don't say.
I don't even play anymore anyway. Well, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for joining us today, and thank you for watching our first ever video by the debaters. And which side of the debate do you agree more? Or maybe you don't agree with both of us and you have a very new idea that hasn't been explored yet. Let us know in the comment section below and know that what do you think. And after that, we will have a very good conversation or very good debate with you in the comment section below down there. And after all, please give us a like if you like the video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press on the notification bell so that you will never miss out on our future videos. Well, our plan is to publish one video every 2 weeks, so I really hope to see you in 2 weeks time. And I know you won't share our video, but still, please. Okay, promise. Okay. So anyways, stay curious, stay open-minded, and stay excited for our next video. See ya. That's not bad, right?